Migos is in an all-out battle right now with its record label, and Joe Budden recently did a podcast that was so fantastic, touching on things that every single artist, every single musician needs to know to stay safe in their music careers. So, in today's video, I'm gonna expand a little bit on those points and give a lawyer's reaction to the Joe Budden podcast covering the Migos dispute with its record label. Hi guys, I'm Miss Crystal. I'm an entertainment attorney, public speaker, and author of How to Keep Your Dukes Up in the Music Business. I'm the owner of Dukes Up Records, and most importantly, I'm an independent musician. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss our weekly videos helping you to think like a top music attorney and take control of your music career. So I'm going to focus on the highlights from the podcast. Let's jump into it.
Come on, because this is
The hip-hop trio says it was cheated out of millions of dollars. Migos are suing their longtime talent lawyer for allegedly taking excessive fees without a proper written agreement and failing to disclose conflicts of interest arising from his representation of their label.
All right, so first off, when he's talking about a conflict of interest, he's talking about if an attorney is representing two people or two companies that are doing business together, that representation has to be disclosed. You have to know, because obviously you want your attorney to have your best interests at heart. So if they're also representing the other side, that can get a little screwy. That's what he's referencing.
So a lawyer.
Right. I mean, I get it.
Y'all killed Meg. I came on this podcast and y'all destroyed my mentions for weeks when I said just getting a lawyer doesn't get it done. When everyone
did say that.
Meg should have just got a lawyer.
Yeah.
Okay. You mean the label's lawyer? The one they provide for you?
Yeah.
finding a lawyer is not the easiest.
When you literally have no idea how this game works at all, and somebody that's in it says, well, here's a lawyer that has history in this business. They've been doing it for 20 years. Go with them.
And that's such a good point. That's a phenomenal point, because one of the very first deals that I even did as an attorney, I remember because the attorney, this was a mid-sized label, and I remember the attorney for the record label was trying to advise my clients indirectly, but to advise them, and was doing it so forcefully, so confidently, that even though it was BS that was coming out of his mouth, it doesn't matter. It makes you feel like what he's saying is true. And so especially if you don't have an attorney, and now that is the person that's speaking directly to you, they can be incredibly influential, and they can make you enter bad deals. So it's a very good point.
Fuck the brand. Fuck the QC brand. Yeah. This is standard for any type of practice in the music business. When you get an artist that has no type of experience in anything that has to do with the business part of music.
Right.
True.
At all. You end up getting a lawyer that they provide for you that has been working with them this entire time.
Right.
And everyone else don't sound like you'd be the smartest fucking person in the world too, when all you are is an artist and all you care about is making music and making money. But you don't know nothing about this shit. You think your people have your best interest at heart. So when you think that's my lawyer, you're not realizing it's the person that you're negotiating with, lawyer as well, who they've been working for quite some time.
Right.
That lawyer has interest in these labels that you're signing to because they've been working for them since the day you were born.
And that's actually expressly prohibited. What they're talking about is kind of like these shady practices where the artist doesn't know what's going on and they're given an attorney that actually works for the label. Well, it's okay for a label to make a recommendation. These are some of the law firms we work with, but it shouldn't be the actual attorney for the label. And if it is, this falls under what's called the Model Rules of Professional Conduct Rule 7.1. And to oversimplify it, it just talks about the fact that attorneys have a duty to disclose. You have to tell the artist if you are also representing the record company or the publishing company or whoever it is that you're doing the deal with. If you don't disclose that, that can be an ethical violation that can even result in a malpractice claim. It's a huge deal. But what they're talking about is, well, nonetheless, in the industry, there are these practices that kind of go unspoken, and that just happen.
Yeah.
It's just it just looks bad only because of, you know, how we looked at QC, and we thought it had that family feel. It felt like they had everyone.
So he just said QC is talking about Quality Control Music, which is the record label that Migos is currently signed to and the lawsuit is with.
One's best interest. It was a close-knit team. And again, we don't know the extent of this. We don't know the ins and outs of it. It probably was a bad deal done somewhere and somebody saw the money. They probably cooked the book somewhere. You know how it is. And, you know, it's unfortunate only because it kind of tarnishes how we looked at QC and the Migos and their relationship.
There's a really specific part in this article that I want to highlight.
Which one?
This lawyer did a one-sided deal for the benefit of a higher priority client, Quality Control Music.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you have the biggest single on earth. To a lawyer, you are not more of a higher priority than a production company or the label that you are signing to.
So what he's saying, or what I'm interpreting what he's saying as, you know, in the mind of the attorney, they got the back of the record label every time. But it goes back to what I'm saying. Ethically, attorneys are not supposed to do that. And if they are going to do something, you have to disclose it and get a conflict and consent, or it's a conflict waiver and a consent from the actual artist saying, hey, we're all on the up and up. Everyone knows what's going on. So the fact that this didn't happen is probably why there's a lawsuit that's happening now.
So when the people that you think are managing you offer you the manager, offer you the lawyer to then negotiate with the management company, stop right there.
Yeah,
that's their lawyer.
Yeah.
They will only have your best interest at heart when it profits to the production company or the label.
And guys, you know that you're going to need an attorney at some point. This is kind of a, you know, everyone needs to get an attorney because you'll get a contract from a record label or anything that's important to your career. So just like your manager, you wouldn't just take any person that said they could help you or that someone else suggested. Let's hope you wouldn't. That's the same thing with your attorney. You have to take time to actually research the person that's going to be representing you. Make sure that they really are going to have your best interests at heart. They know these types of deals. And so to Rory's point, don't just take someone that someone else says, especially the label that you're doing the deal with. Don't just take that attorney because they told you to.
You have to learn in this industry and in this,
the hard way.
In this business to have your own best interest.
Yeah.
And that's just a really tough lesson that, you know, most of us go through. Maul said it's fucked up because they lose some of the family feel, but I don't necessarily view it that way. That is one way to target people. Not saying that QC did that, but you can treat someone like family and take advantage of them based on how comfortable they feel because you treat them like family.
It's actually the epitome of taking advantage of somebody.
And I only say this,
and I don't know.
Again,
QC
I couldn't. This is not about QC.
No,
it's
not
not
at all.
about their situation. I'm speaking from my own personal experience.
Same. Not speaking about their business or anything.
I was 19 or however old I was. It was just a big deal for me to run back home and tell my mom, "Hey, people are interested in me. Something big might be happening soon." And because of where we come from, my mom didn't really have the tools to say how to navigate that.
No one does. Not often, unless your family is, you know,
in the
entertainment.
So we
just kind of learn as you go.
So
Joe,
And just to kind of, you know, touch on Joe's point, he's so correct in that when you're in that moment, there's so much excitement. You're being offered an opportunity to achieve a dream. And then also you're going to be cozying up to these people. I don't know a single good A&R person that's not going to make you feel like the king of the world or the queen of the world. And they're going to make you feel like you are the next biggest thing. The whole point is to make you feel comfortable and that they're going to be able to really do something for you. And so I say this, you know, often, and I go, you know, for a lot of us, the record label deal is, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. And what we don't know is that it's an oncoming train. And in this instance, I think that's exactly what Joe's touching on. And he even notes his personal experience with this exact same thing.
I'll quickly say, they've put record contracts in front of the biggest lawyers on earth. Any degree, any experience that isn't specific to the music industry, and it looks like fucking gibberish. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
This is also why there's this general movement in the industry, in law in general, to go more towards what's called layman's, just writing in very plain language, because this whole legalese, gibberish that happened and was pretty common practice for a long time is just silly. Yes, there's going to be very complicated contracts that do require kind of professional and expertise and that kind of thing, but there's really this movement towards plain language because it's you can't get into these long legal battles because you have a 40-page contract that no one knows what it says.
So by the time I had to actually find a lawyer, you do that through reference. And if you're getting all your information from your production company or your label, then they're going to refer you to their attorney. Listen, I was probably in year 3 or 4 when I found out, oh shit, my attorney is not only representing my production company, but favoring them. They're not. You're not even giving me the information that benefits me. And then to get out of that is really, really difficult. And the state that you're in when you're that influenced by someone, I might have signed my production deal, not my publishing deal, even with it looking fugazi from Webb saying, "Come on, Joe, just sign it." That matched with, "Oh, this is how much I get upon signing." For me, at whatever age that was enough to sign away. And again, I said this on it before. I just got out of that pub deal. So, what school do you go to understand that you can literally in 1 second sign away the next 20 to 30 years of your professionalism?
That's it. I'm starting an online school. It's called Top Music Attorney. Subscribe right now. That's why I do this channel. It's so that these things don't happen. And to his point, it's such a perfectly articulated point because he's talking about how when you're offered a deal, an opportunity, student, you're so excited, and then there's money attached to it because the record label is paying you in advance, even if it's something like $20,000, $50,000. Well, for an 18-year-old, that is a huge deal. That is a lot of money. But then when you try to compare it with the fact that you're selling the next 3 to 5 albums, that you're going to be working for the label and you won't own anything, all of a sudden, $50,000, let's say as a job that you were working full-time for that 1 year, trying to compare values, it doesn't really start making sense anymore. But we see it in such a narrow vacuum, and it's opportunity matched with a chunk of change that you're going to go buy a car with and blow in 2 seconds. It's pretty appealing.
I feel for them. I feel for them. And this is with them coming out of this eating. Like, they're all multimillionaires. They all busted down, got fucking ad money, advertising. Like, they got the money. They got the money, got the wives and the fiancés.
Yeah, Sweetie all right? Sweetie all right? That's all that matters here.
I'm sure Sweetie's all right. I'm sure she's all right. But that's what happens when you get you a good girl that you love and you just, like, chill with her. Like,
what, she started telling you your record label's taking advantage of you? Let's see.
She started getting you to looking at some shit. Like,
yeah,
hey, I'm chilling, I'm having a blast, but why did it cost this amount of money to shoot this video? My man shot this.
That's right. When you're not in control of your career, you don't have any idea how much money is being spent, and so all of a sudden they're hooking up your director and paying $50,000 on a music video where practically you could have done it yourself for maybe $10,000 or $5,000. You just completely lose control of what's happening.
Yeah.
Well, man,
Where did that money go?
Yeah, hey, the stylist that I called, like, why did they get $50,000 to style? Like, it just money is just funneled all over the place. And if you have no idea about all of the different spots that value is attached when you upstream, or if you don't know what upstreaming means, then you're gonna get fucked, and we got to learn from it. But this is a very dangerous game, and it's never ending, because by the time I found out that I had the same attorney as my production company, I was already in a full-fledged beef with them, and now had to find a lawyer to negotiate me out of the production company contract, and then go negotiate me out of my major label contract. And the lawyer, just like a manager, just like anybody, is looking to know how much money they get from you. They're like, wait a minute, man. How many hours do I have to put in to get you clear and free?
Right.
And this happens a lot, right? We were talking about there's ethical rules that attorneys are bound to, and you'll find that in the complaint that Migos filed, some of the claims have to do with violations of professional codes. And so in this instance where you might have a malpractice claim, well, now you got to go find another attorney to sue your old attorney.
Yeah, you could be one of those artists that says, all right, I know about this. I've seen artists go through this shit. I'm going to get my own lawyer. Most record contracts, there's legal fees put aside that the label ends up paying. It doesn't come out of your advance. It doesn't come out of your recording budget. So at the end of the day, your lawyer is going to get their money from the label you're signing to.
So let's focus on what he just said. Your attorney, especially with these mid to large size label deals, gets paid from the date the actual deal closing. And so for me, this is something where I've literally sat down, like the last major deal that I sat down with one of my artists, and I explained this very clearly to him. And I said, look, this is what's being offered. Here's the big prize that you're gonna get at the end of this. A part of it is my fees. You're not gonna be responsible for everything. The label is gonna pay it. What I want you to understand is that I am advising you not to take this deal. That means I'm not getting paid. That's bad for me, but I'm telling you. And so, for me, that's a moment of truth and connection, and that's what you want your attorney to do. But your other attorney might not have that motivation and might be more motivated to get the deal done and to get it closed and to not have your best interest at heart. So this goes back to who you select as your entertainment attorney is hugely impactful on your career, especially over time in every one of these deals that you do together.
So yes, you can say, yo, we've seen artists get fucked all the time. How do these artists not know that?
Because we don't know.
We never know. And part of contracts is a gray area. It's words that are meant to be debated. A contract don't really mean shit at the end of the day, even when it's signed.
Yeah.
A contract is worded to be debated. There's gray area for a reason. So
I disagree, respectfully. And the reason I disagree is that if your attorney is doing his or her job, there should not be gray area. That's why these contracts end up being so long, is because we have to address so many things and what could possibly happen and what happens if this contingency occurs. And not only to have each one of these very clear provisions, and when I say a provision, I mean just like a section in the contract, so to have all these different things in the contract very clearly spelled out. But, earlier in the podcast, they talked about, well, what do you do when even like the most skillful attorneys in the world sit down and they look at these contracts and it's all gibberish? Well, what I do is I respond and I say, this isn't clear. It needs to be revised. If you have a good attorney, the attorney is going to do that. So there is no ambiguity. There is no gray area. And when something happens, it's going to go down correctly.
So everyone that can say, how can you not know your business? I would have paid for the lawyer. You're a multi-millionaire. Why the fuck didn't you get the top lawyer to do shit? That doesn't mean shit when it comes down to words at all. I can debate this. And at the end of the day, the label's paying my lawyer no matter who it is. It's not my legal fee.
And past that, niggas will kill you over words. I want to emphasize that. There are plenty of executives here that can tell the story of not wanting to let someone out of a really bad contract and then maybe having to acquiesce because the artist knew your address and had to resort to like physical violence, saying, all right, if there's only one way to get out of this, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Well, I guess to Joe's point and going a little off topic, my general advice is that if you ever get stuck in a bad contract and you want to get out of it, just don't do anything to give the other side or the other person leverage to now come after you, including showing up on their front door with a baseball bat.
It's not my job to come tell you how much you're worth or what your contract should look like. And if you don't know, do your Googles.
And this is speculation with QC. I
all of this is
wanted
just
to have
alleged.
this conversation not to do with them.
Yeah, no. This is past this.
I have no idea what's going on with QC.
Yeah, this is past that.
So what they do over the following few minutes is they talk about just the importance of the relationship, and they're really sad to see kind of what's happened between the label and Migos, because they really feel like this is a family and this is just essentially another quarrel. Families do quarrel, families even get into lawsuits. And sometimes it might just be because they weren't able to get it resolved, they weren't able to come up with settlement terms, but as a litigation attorney, I can talk about it gets very expensive very quickly. And so when you allegedly have millions of dollars on the line, you have a big motivator to push you through that litigation. But sometimes your attorney's fees will get into the hundreds of thousands of dollars over time. And so, typically there'll be a lot of conversations about settlement throughout. So we'll see what happens with this case. But generally speaking, you'll find that a lot of these matters and cases end up getting resolved at some point before they actually get all all the way to the end where you have a big blown out trial. And so this is kind of what they talk about through the remainder of the podcast, but I just really need to give them that extra love because they touched on so many amazing points about getting your contracts, getting your attorneys, getting things reviewed and revised, and actually being in charge of your career. I felt like there was this general sentiment of when you don't know what you don't know, right? But when you don't know that your attorney is also working for the other side or for the company that you're doing the deal with, you absolutely should know those things. And so essentially I just wanted to, give a shout out. This was an amazing podcast. I got so much value out of it, and I'm really happy that I can obviously kind of relay some points to my followers as well. And yeah, be sure to drop your guys' comments below. What'd you think about it? And as a final kind of bonus note for you guys, I know that a big question has to do with whether the attorney overcharged Migos. And so just talking about that with ethical rules, it's rule 1.5, and it talks about the fact that attorneys can set their rates, how much they charge, when they charge, where they charge, based on some criteria. And so there are things that come into play here of what's reasonable. Does a client know? Did a client sign what's called a fee agreement with the law firm saying they could do this? Well, Migos is saying there was no agreement and they were overcharged. If you guys are super passionate about your music careers and you want to learn how to take charge and really be in the driver's seat of your music career, check out How to Keep Your Dukes Up in the Music Business, which is my book on Amazon. It's available on Audible in the physical format as well as Kindle. And this is really the A to Z guide on having a successful music career as an independent musician. And the book includes 8 contracts that you will need throughout your music career. If you're into dark pop music, definitely check out some of my stuff. Just search Miss Crystal on any music platform, including Spotify. And if you want to come say hi on social media, I'm definitely the most active on Instagram. It's been very cool meeting you guys. I've been talking a lot about getting legal advice and getting some help. If you guys do need some of that, feel free to get in touch with my law firm. Links down in the description below. I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you don't miss any videos from your new favorite redhead. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm Miss Crystal. Bye.